From the newsroom of the Bryant College Station Eagle, this is the Brazos Sports Prepscast. And now, the Eagle High School sports team, Alex Miller and Jake Weiss.
This is it. Welcome back into the Brazos Sports Prepcast. It's the final week of Texas high school football season, and one Brazos Valley team remains. Of course, it's the Franklin Lions. They're playing for a state championship once again. They're going for history this week in the 3A Division I state title game against Malakoff Thursday at 3 p.m. at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. We're going to break down all the action, and joining us today is Donna Conrad from KRHD 15 ABC. What's up, Donna?
Thank you all for having me. Excited to chop it up about Franklin.
Of course, we got the casuals here, Mr. Alex Miller, Mr. Jake Weiss. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Alex, you can go first.
I'm doing just fine. Jake and I went out to Franklin yesterday. We actually ran into Donna, and we grilled Mark Fannin with all the hard questions. Got to write a fun feature story about one of their favorite photographers, Nash Pills. Jake's going to have a feature story on quarterback Court Lowry here this week, and be sure to look at KRHD for all of Donna's preview content. Local media is going all out. It's going to be a party up in Arlington on Thursday.
Well, heck, yesterday was the Franklin day because we missed KBTX. I don't know what time they got. I should have asked what time they got there, but I was like, man, we could have all just done it all in one swoop.
Morgan's like basically the mayor of Franklin now, so they probably came to her actually.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. They took the bus over.
Yeah.
Little pre-state, like, all right, let's just practice. Let's go bus over and then come back.
Rightfully so, she is the queen of Franklin.
Fair enough. It's the state title game. We're setting the stage here. Tail of the tape. Franklin's playing for its fourth straight state title game, fifth overall in school history, all within the last decade, by the way. Lions are going for their third straight title. They beat Gunther in 21 and Brock in 22. Malakoff is 15-0 this year. They won District 8 3A with relative ease and have cruised through the playoffs, but have a tough going the last couple of weeks, more so with Brock last week winning 38-31. They're seeking their first state title in school history. Lone title appearance was 2018 when they lost to Grandview. What do each of y'all see in this matchup?
Well, I think one of the main things you got to look at with this one is experience, because it's going to be a tough physical football game the whole way. I mean, obviously they both made it this far. We know, obviously having watched Franklin the whole season, what they're about. But I think when you look at, hey, it's going to be at AT&T Stadium up in Arlington when the lights are the brightest, Franklin is used to this. This has become such a familiar territory for them, where Malakoff has one state championship appearance. Franklin, that's all they know is state championship, and that's become the expectation a little bit. And so I think one of the biggest things that I'm looking at is experience-wise. I think Franklin walks in and goes, we're looking to take care of business. Malakoff may be a little bit more starry-eyed since they haven't really been there.
Something I'm kind of looking at, and I don't know, maybe this is more of a key to the game, and maybe it's just because I have kind of the Edna game on the brain still, but I don't know, I was real impressed. I mean, Alex, you were there as well. Franklin, and Donna, you were there too. Franklin had what, 229, they at least had over 200 passing yards.
School record, probably.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I meant to ask that yesterday, and I didn't.
I was actually wondering if you asked that. On the drive back, I was going to be like, hey, Alex, did you ask that? I'm real curious. So I don't know. Maybe that's just what's on the brain. But, I kind of think back to last year's game, too, how close it was, 17-14. So I don't know. Something that just, really is on the brain is, what kind of Franklin team are we going to see? Is it going to be another game where it's real close? Is Franklin going to have to air it out? I don't know. There's just a lot of factors for me where I'm just like, man, what Franklin team's going to show up? And not to say that in a bad way. They make a lot of mistakes. Just they're going to just air it out. They're just going to run it down their throat, kind of just train it coming. I mean, I don't know.
To your point, Jake, they did the same thing against Edna last year, right?
Yeah,
they
exactly.
threw the ball a lot. And then, they get to the state championship game, and then they only throw the ball one time.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we've talked about it before. It was a big play. I mean, Devin Hidrago gets over a 20-yard gain to set up the game-winning field goal on that last drive. But, I mean, yeah, Franklin's bread and butter is just run it. Slot T Mafia, right?
Exactly.
So, I thought it was interesting, and I don't think I got this in my story, but I asked Court Lowry, how about getting the ball in space? They ran a lot of screen passes, right?
Yeah.
And, we're sitting there in the press box talking with Mike Foreman from the Victoria Advocate, and we're like, well, it's a backwards throw. So is it technically a run? And then we get down on the sideline, and one of the Franklin assistants like, nope, if Court throws it, that counts as a pass. You better not count it as a run. But the point being was that Court said, hey, in the past, we've had a lot of these pitch plays, these tosses out to the outside. And this year they've kind of thrown in a little wrinkle. They get a guy in motion a little bit, and instead of just a true pitch, it's a bubble screen, right?
Yeah.
And when you can get a guy like Devin Hidrago out, or like maybe 3 or 4 yards out, and the defense is so compact, I mean, he gets to the edge with the width of the field. I mean, that is huge for Franklin. And so, curious to see if those kind of wrinkles show back up on Thursday again. Here's what I'm looking for in this matchup. For me, this Malakoff team on paper, it kind of reminds me of where Franklin was in 2020 when they were making the first of 4 consecutive state championship appearances. Okay, Malakoff, they've been around for over 100 years. They went 40 years, 1950 to 1990, without a playoff appearance, okay? This is not a historic power. They were 0-10 in 2008, and then they hired their coach, Jamie Driscoll, and they haven't missed the playoffs since then. Whoop, I'm about to fling my paper. But here's what I've seen is that they've really become a serious contender on that kind of western edge of East Texas, and this kind of seems like they want this to be their breakthrough year to win that elusive state championship. To your point, Donna, it's kind of where Franklin was in 2020. They played Canadian, who they've been there, done that. And, they weren't going for a three-peat, but they had that, continued success. And when push came to shove, Canadian was down and was able to make the plays to come back and win that game in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. If this is a nail-biting game, does Franklin's experience pay off versus kind of this first-timer Malakoff team that, they were in the state championship game, 5-6 years ago, but none of those kids were on the team.
Yeah, no.
I mean, they might have been there in the stands. Their brothers might have, or cousins might have been playing, but they weren't there. They weren't there playing on the field with the TV timeouts and everything. It's funny. I asked Coach Fan, I was like, do you guys practice like having a TV timeout? And he was like, no. But I just, you go all this time and then it's like, well, why is the game stopping for 2 minutes? Well, Bally's got to give their commercials. So,
Well, I mean, they've been doing it for a couple of years now, so maybe the TV time they've kind of got used to that maybe a little bit. Maybe whether it be the passing game, the front seven, time of possession. What do y'all kind of see as the keys for Franklin in this one?
Well, I think there's a couple that stand out to me. And to Jake's point earlier, what we watched in that Edna game was Edna's front was kind of able to contain Franklin's run game a little bit. And so they had to take to the air a little bit more. Now, I have no problem with that because Court Lowry has just shown us, like, hey, I can sling it too. I mean, he was, airing it out to Devin Hidrago down the field. We saw some big yards from both of them in the first half. And so I'm hoping that they stick to that plan of, hey, if we're not getting the run to go, and I know they love the slot tee, but if they're not getting that run to go early, don't be afraid to let Court air it out, because what we've seen from him, especially over the last 6 weeks, is he has no problem being able to do that. So, like, let him drop back, let him, and Devin Hidrago has just been phenomenal. So, I mean, to no surprise, obviously, but I think that's going to be a major key. And I also think defensively, they look the most comfortable when they're forcing turnovers. And so I know that's obviously always a goal for the defense, but they seem like they are in full control of the game when the defense is turning the ball over and giving it back to the offense. So I think those are two big things that if they can do that, I don't see why they're not successful.
What do you think?
Ooh, all right. Kind of copying Donna a little bit on her answer to the first one, actually. I think a big key is going to be Franklin's experience. Because the more, Alex, you talked about Malakoff, it got me kind of really thinking, like, man, I really do think Franklin's experience is going to be a key to this. I mean, heck, there's those 5 seniors that have been on varsity since they're freshmen. They're what? I don't want to get the
58
record
and 4.
There we go. I was going to say 85. That seemed way too high, though. Like, I was trying to
This
do the
is
math
why
in
you're a
my
journalist,
head.
Jake.
Exactly. Like I was trying to do the math. I was like,
Mathematician.
85 sounds right for some reason. Hopefully that's one of their numbers. That's what I'm thinking of. But no, I really think like a big key is going to be Franklin. They've got the experience. I mean, every week, it's a business-like approach for them. I mean, heck, I think, Alex, you said the first time you kind of noticed them really kind of emotional before a game was the Lorena game in the playoffs. But ever since then, it's just been business as usual. So I really think that experience that they have is going to be a key in this one, or could end up being a key. Let's say it's another close game like last year. It's final minutes. It's, tied 14-14 or whatever it is. I think that experience is going to go a long way to help Franklin potentially, especially since Malakoff, I mean, like you said, maybe they were in the stands, but that's probably the most, that's all they've been here before. Or maybe they've gone to a Cowboys game, like you asked some of the Franklin guys if they had been to Cowboys games.
Yeah, Court was there on Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, he was in a box watching the Eagles.
Scouting the aura, I guess.
Yeah. Here's what I think is that Franklin's got to do a good job of containing Malakoff's quarterback, Mike Jones, okay? You turn on the tape, this guy is fast, he's slippery, he can do it all. He's thrown for almost 2,500 yards. He's got almost 30 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, which, turnovers, that was what really bit Edna last week, right? And, he's got over 700 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns on the ground. Franklin did a really good job containing Caden Roberts 2 weeks ago against against Lorena. And they didn't let Jaden Clay against Edna do much against them either last week. So this is not the first time that Franklin is going to see one of these guys, not to mention like Little River Academy. Remember we talked about their quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, that kid can do it all. And so they have seen guys who can really hurt you with their arm and their legs. Can they bow up and do it one more time, right? I mean, Colby Smith, Braden Urie, they have just been a brick wall the last few weeks. That Franklin defense, they've come so far since they lost to Lorena. Remember, Lorena hung 52 on them. Yep. Okay? That's a lot of points. So since then, they've allowed just 21 a game. And you're like, okay, 21, that's not like an earth-shattering number. But when you consider like what Franklin's offense can do, you're like, yeah, 21's going to get the job done, right?
I was going to say, they've been putting up 50-plus points, I think, in every playoff game, except the Lorena game, and I think it was like 49. Yeah.
49.
So you can kind of count, like, I hate to say round up, but...
Yeah, so if Franklin can hold Malakoff to, we'll say, 21 or under 30, okay? Franklin, their offense shows they can probably do what it takes to be ahead of that mark, whatever it is. But it starts with slowing down Mike Jones and not letting him extend plays, get out of the pocket, and get chunk plays on scrambles and stuff like that. So
to that, when we talked to some of the players yesterday, and one of the things that I asked them about was that Lorena loss in the regular season, and obviously 52 to any team is a lot, but that felt a little uncharacteristic of their defense. And since then, they have been locked down on that side of the ball, and you can see it, especially when you talk to the players. And so I think, to your point, like if they can hold them to, like you said, 21, with the way that the offense has been averaging these insane numbers, I don't see why. But also when we talked to them about Malakoff, they also said, they're very fast. That was one of the things that they said right off the bat, jumped out at them. Their quarterback's fast. They've got a really good running back. So I think it'll be a challenge for the defense, but I don't think, after the way that they played Lorena 2 weeks ago, we watched them just dominate Edna last week. It'll be tough, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for them to contain them the way that they have been.
Looking ahead now, Jerry World, AT&T Stadium. What are y'all kind of looking forward to the most when you're at State? We'll actually start off with Jake here.
Oh, wow. All right. I don't know. I'll keep my answer simple and short. But one, and this is kind of probably a silly answer, but there's a lot of people that we follow that cover high school football, Texas high school football, and maybe you just follow the person on Twitter. Like, for me, there's a lot of people I follow. Like, I've never met the person, but we follow each other. So there's kind of an aspect of, like, I know this person. Yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some of those people, that you don't see every week. And then the other thing too, I mean, just getting to see it's the big stage. Everyone's excited. I'm just looking forward. Second year for me too. I'm excited just to be there, really.
I think AT&T does such a great job. I feel maybe I'm a little biased because I'm a big Cowboys fan, but going up there to Jerry World, it's special. They make the environment feel special. I mean, you're not just going up there for high school state championship week. I mean, they really put on and make the kids kind of feel like a little bit like celebrities. I feel like, they've got the big Bally Sports set and they've got, sideline reporters that are also doing stuff in real time. So, the atmosphere is great. And then, man, watching those kids celebrate at the end of the game is so, so special. I mean, I know for us covering them the whole season, we get to know the coaches and the players, watching them get to this stage, and obviously going for another ring and everything, I think is so special, and it's so cool to watch. It's a little bit emotional, honestly, but I live for that. I think that's one of the coolest part of sports is all of the emotion. Fannon's talked about the grind, so I think watching all of that come together in a place like Arlington is super cool.
I agree. It's really such just a fun time. You look at the whole Thursday slate of games, by the way, it's going to be good. I mean, you pay $20, you get to watch 3 games, and you want to see a slugfest? Go to the game at 11 a.m., Albany versus Mart. I know you're going to be there, Donna, with your sister station up in Waco. We're going to have our friends at the sister paper at the Waco Tribune Herald that'll be there. This is the smallest 11-man classification. It's a rematch of last year's state title game. Mart's perennial power, but Albany's looking to reestablish itself as kind of the king of that division. So you get big game, and then, oh, by the way, the nightcap is Tidehaven looking to make history against Gunner, who is just a perennial power in their own right. So, like I said, $20, you get in. You watch 3 high school football games. You can watch Franklin on TV, by the way, on Bally Sports Southwest. I hear our good friend of the show, Greg Tepper, is going to be doing color commentary for that game. But only in Texas are you going to have 20,000 people show up to a game between 2 teams from towns with a combined population of not even 4,000. So, it's a special experience. It's really cool. People from across the state come. It's a lot of coaches like to go. They like to mingle with all their buddies down there. I mean, it's going to be a good time. And, the whole Brazos Valley Media crew is going to be up there. So be sure to check out all of our content across, all 3 local TV stations here at the Eagle. And maybe there's going to be some radio up there. I'm sure there's radio. The KMVL, right? They do the radio out of Madisonville. I think Tommy Davis's people are up there doing that. So you can listen to the game online, too.
Oh, there we go. Oh, and I want to add, too, real quick. I just thought about this. When you're talking about all 20,000 people showing up, I don't know why this made me think of it, but when we drove up last year, Alex, we saw that sign. About where were we at? I think
we were in Grandview.
Yeah. It was a sign of support for Franklin. So
they had like hay bales with sheets on them that were painted green that said like 164.
Yeah,
had a little paw print.
Wow. So I don't want to say I don't want to get my hopes up and say if this doesn't happen, it's going to ruin the week or anything. But I'm excited to see if we see anything like that on the trip up.
Yeah, sounds like there's gonna try and be history made on Saturday. They're calling it South Dallas Saturday. You got South Oak Cliff, Duncanville, and DeSoto. They're all playing, okay? And I think Jason Todd from South Oak Cliff is trying to get 60,000 people to the game, which South Oak Cliff is playing P&G, who will bring like 25,000 people on their own. I mean, it's like it's crazy. Like, College Station played P&G a few years ago in the playoffs, and I was like, what have I walked into? It was wild, okay? They played down in Baytown. It was like 10,000 fans on one side, just completely full. And I was like, who are these people? But only in Texas high school football are you going to get something like that.
Well, did you see, just talking about PNG, when they played Liberty Hill last week, did you see the
I heard about that.
There was a Facebook post that Liberty Hill was going to stop selling tickets online because PNG had had gone on, got all of the visitor side tickets and started going into the home side.
Yeah.
So they said they were only going to sell them at the box office, and somebody had commented and said, well, it's not out of the question for people from PNG to come drive up and buy tickets at the box office. So those fans travel so well.
Which PNG, that is like south of Beaumont. Liberty Hill is northwest of Austin.
Yeah.
So that's like 4 hours.
Hey, they'll make the trip though.
They will make the trip. All right, take us home, Andrew.
Oh, man, 3 days of jam-packed action. Well, we appreciate all of y'all tuning in to the Brazos Sports Prepcast, and we will see you again very soon.